Hi everyone. This video has been a long time coming, but I just want to say as a little disclaimer before I get to it with the video. I'm not very good at pronouncing a lot of things, and you're going to notice that in some parts, and I'm a little embarrassed by it. So, sorry about that. But anyways, thank you for clicking on the video, and I hope you enjoy it. Anyways, thanks. Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm making this video to talk about Willow, the TV show. Willow is a TV show that came out in 2022 that's based off of the movie of the same name that was released in 1988. The series serves as a sequel to the movie, taking place more than 20 years after the events. The thing is, though, it was canceled only after one season. Only 8 episodes. It makes me miss the days of having like 22 episodes per season, but that's just sadly not gonna work with streaming, I guess. What made it even worse is that Disney Plus had its first purge. It did not survive the purge. So you literally can't watch it anywhere without being a pirate about it. You can watch the movie on Disney Plus, but you can't watch the TV show. So because the TV show is only 8 episodes long, I wanted to do a series review on it and just go a tiny bit through each episode and just give you the layout of the characters, the plot lines, their different dynamics, just so we can kind of remember the show. So I guess I should talk a little bit more about the movie, just to give you a brief explanation of what happens. You don't need to watch the movie to understand the TV show, which I do like. So anyways, Willow meets a baby. This is a magical baby who will one day bring an end to a tyrant who is like an evil witch lady. Honestly, I don't remember her name at the time of this recording, but she's not good. The evil lady, she's like, I will not stand for this. I'm going to kill every single baby who like has a mark, I guess. I don't know. She might have just killed every baby. Maybe every baby. So she kills every baby.
Hi, future Emily here. The evil sorceress's name is actually Queen Bavmorda, but she doesn't actually just kill all the babies, as that would be pretty problematic. No, so what she does is she has just rounded up a bunch of pregnant women in all of the kingdom and has been monitoring whenever they do give birth to see if there is a magical birthmark on their kid's arm, because if they did, that would be their sign that they are the kid who's supposed to bring her downfall.
This one baby, who is the magical baby, her name
is Alora Dannon.
She is cast off to be hid away from the evil sorceress lady. Just all in all, ends up in Willow's possession. And he reluctantly goes on an adventure, meets Mad Mardigan, and they help save the realm. And now we are left with the 20-year time jump of what would be the TV show. It's been more than 20 years since Queen Bavmorda was defeated. 6 unlikely heroes set off on a dangerous quest to places far beyond their home, where they must face their inner demons and come together to save their world from the forces of evil, the Gales, who work for the Crone and are allies of the Wyrm. I think the Wyrm is funny, just because I think of like a literal worm, not this like fantasy monster of destruction. We don't even see the Wyrm because it gets canceled. So we'll never basically see the Wyrm, which kind of disappointing. I wanted to see a giant worm, like a literal worm. This is the point where I would give you a spoiler warning and just say, hey, if you want to watch this now, then go watch it now. But that's the thing, you kind of can't do that. So I'm going to start off by introducing the characters. So we have Willow. And Willow... Oh, wait a minute. I have notes. I wrote them all down. You can't see it. Okay, well anyways. So first we have Willow. Willow is a sorcerer. He helps Alora train and learn magic. He's heralded as this great sorcerer who... There's epic tales told about him. Like, everyone knows him. He's a legend, basically. The thing that's kind of interesting, though, is he's not the best sorcerer. The way how he defeated the big bad in the movie was actually more through his wit and not his magic ability. So yeah, anyways, at this point, when it comes to the TV show, Willow is now High Aldwin, which basically is the town wizard in a way, and he holds pretty much most of this responsibility in his village. The second character I'll introduce is Kit Thanatos. She's the princess of Tirazleen. She was the daughter of Sorsha and Manmortigan. Sorsha is the daughter of the big bad of the movie. Going back to Kit, she's seen as rash. She's very impatient. She definitely needs to go on like a coming of age story. I mean, this season is her coming of age story.
All I know is what I can see. And so far, I haven't seen any magic.
I also have I don't know if you can see this. I'll have to flip it. I have so this is just, the reason why the handwriting is so scratchy is because I was writing this, I was on the treadmill. I have a thing that says she's angry a lot, which is so funny, because it really is true. I was showing my friend this show when it was still on Disney Plus, and she's just like, yeah, like Kit is like needs to calm down. Like she is too angry all the time. And I'm like, yeah, she really is. And then I also thought might as well introduce Kit's twin brother, Eric. I'm pretty sure Eric is named after one of the characters of the movie. Eric and Manmortigan were like war buddies. So that's kind of cool to see like a reference to that character. Overall, Eric is pretty carefree. He's also like Kit in the sense where he would rather be off doing other things.
Everybody loves you because you're so charming and fun. As long as they don't expect anything from you. Because the moment that they do, you'll just leave. Just like Dad did.
I'm not him. Kit, I'm not going anywhere.
Next, I should talk about Jade, who is Kit's good friend. It's not a secret that both Kit and Jade are totally into each other, so that's not even like a spoiler there. But one thing that's very interesting, though, is Jade kind of acts as like a foil to Kit, where Kit is very rash and very impatient. Jade is seen as very calm, level-headed. She's very careful. She's very patient. She's also a knight, and she basically is like, assigned to protect the princess, which that's cool. And to open up the series, she's positioned to go train with knights to become like an official knight of the realm.
Kit's like her father. She'll never stop looking for Eric.
I won't let anything happen to her.
She'll need you to be sensible when she's rash. I'm counting on you as I would any knight.
Next person I should talk about is Graydon. Graydon is kind of like the helpless character. He's definitely the one that everyone comedically picks on. He too also has to go through a coming of age plot line where he doesn't really know what he really wants or what he's good at. He's good with picking up arcana and language. He is also just very socially awkward.
You let your bride-to-be travel beyond the barrier without you.
It's not ideal, but I'd learn to live with it.
Next character I'll introduce is Borman. He is definitely the comic relief of all of the show. He's very sarcastic. You can definitely tell he uses jokes and his wit to not be very vulnerable with people. He's basically a grave robber as well. And then lastly, I should mention like this one girl. Eric calls her Dove. Yeah, she's not really that important, to be honest with you, but she does travel with the party to go help rescue Eric because Eric and her are convinced that they're in love.
Somebody's got to cook, right?
Are you any good?
I'm phenomenal.
One thing to kind of characterize her is that she's a good cook. Yes, she's a baker of muffins. Yeah, that's pretty much it about her. She's not really that important. So, yeah, let's just keep going. Let's keep going. Okay, so let's start off with episode 1, The Gales. The first few minutes serve as an exposition, talking a little bit about what has come after the movie. Sorsha has become the new queen. She married Manmortigan. The episode does a pretty decent job of categorizing those characters pretty well, in the sense where Kit is off sword fighting with Jade, talks about how she wants to go adventuring beyond the barrier. The barrier was put up to protect their civilized area. It's said to be very dangerous outside of the barrier.
The thing is, though, Kit is being forced to marry Prince Graydon, and so they have to go back to the kingdom and get ready for that. At the same time, Eric is in the fields just making out with Dove, and then, they get interrupted by one of, the kingdom's guards or whatever, and he's like, hey, come back, we're having like the celebration, like a party for Graydon and Kit. So at the celebration, Kit is definitely not here to get married. Well, Graydon's very mellow and very calm and just kind of is doing what his father told him to do. He's met with Kit, who's very angry at not wanting to get married. And so she kind of causes a commotion, is let out by her mother, and they have a few words. In this conversation, you can definitely see there's a pretty big rift between Kit and her mother with her responsibilities of being a princess. And there's also the rift between Kit and her absent father, just not being there. And I don't think Kit has any real beef with Eric overall, but I think she can definitely see that even though the two of them are very alike in the sense that they both aren't very responsible in their prince or princess duties, she definitely gets a lot more crap from her mother than Eric does. So in the next scene, it's nighttime and Kit has gone into Jade's room. She basically declares that she is running away. She doesn't want to get married.
So the next thing Kit does is she kisses Jade. This was Kit's farewell kiss, like, I'll never see you ever again. So if she really wanted to kiss her and not have to face the consequences of actually being vulnerable with Jade, then this would be it.
So the scene is interrupted with the reveal that the castle is getting attacked by monsters. So two things happen in this fight scene. One, Commander Ballantyne, he gets wounded by one of the enemies. It's not just a regular wound, though. He gets infected in a way where it starts to slowly control his mind, his body. He soon becomes a puppet for the enemy. The second thing that happens is Eric is captured. And so, to respond to this, we are assembling a party to go find him.
Saoirse then tasks the group to go find Willow after they get through the barrier.
So Kit volunteers herself to go find her brother. That means Jade's going, Graydon's going as well because his wife is going. Borman is going as well. He was released out of his cell because he is one of the only few people in the castle who actually know what it's like outside of the barrier. And then we also have Dove, who sneaks her way into the party to go help rescue Eric. And then we also have this guy who, honestly, I didn't think he was going to be a character I related to very well. He is actually quite an interesting character. He's goes through like a very interesting storyline. I honestly, I should have mentioned him during the characters thing, but it's too late now. I love his storyline. Yeah, he's like my favorite character. You will not survive. Yeah, I should mention, he just gets killed right away. He's not that big of a character. He was just used to kind of be a guide to help them basically get through the barrier. There's nothing really important after that, so sorry if I had your hopes up, but that was funny. So yeah, he gets killed off. The party is chased by Bone Reavers, and Bone Reavers are initially categorized as being like not good people, like they're uncivilized and they're like ruthless and just bad people. There's more of an introduction to them later in the show, but basically they're chasing the party and they finally are able to escape them, and they go to find Willow, and he uses his magic to reveal the magical birthmark, which shows and reveals that she is the Alora Danon. And so, yeah, that's episode 1. The next episode is, episode 2, and it's called The High Aldwin. The episode opens up with Willow having a falling out with Saoirse because he thinks that they should be training Alora. This is a flashback, by the way. They should be training Alora because he's having these visions of ultimate destruction, and having her be fully trained as a sorceress would actually help them in their chance to fight against the crone and the Wyrm.
I had a dream, and somehow I knew. It's what will happen if we don't change things. Our true enemy is still out there, and the only thing standing in his path is Elora. It's time to begin her training.
And Sorsha is like, no, like, we should not do this. We should just not train her at all, because she'll have more trouble for her than just left her alone. I have a note here that says, I hate when prophecies like these are basically like, hey, we can't allow this to happen. You're right. Let's not do the thing that will help this situation. Let's just ignore it, which is just what Sorsha says to do, which I don't know why you would do that. Why would you not have the chosen one not be trained to help deal with an issue that comes along the way? I don't understand that. I hate when plots do that. I think it's so dumb, because in reality, like, once the prophecy happens because you didn't do anything about it, or it happens because you try to act against it, like, that's the thing that activates the prophecy, is you not doing something about it that will make it a better situation overall. And so after that flashback, we are, back in present time, where Willow has taken the party down to his little village area, and he does something that the High Aldwin did for him in the movie, where they did like the finger test.
The power to control the world is in which finger?
And Willow picks one of his, I don't remember which one, and that's wrong. What he should have picked was his own finger. It's supposed to be like, oh, you have the power, not me. Like, you have the power to control your world. And so he does that same test for Elora. And of course, she also picked, okay, it's kind of a trick question. I'll say that right now. Someone holds out their hand that, like, you're supposed to be trusting of them, and then they're just like, it's a trick question. It's yours. Anyways, she gets it wrong. She just picks one of his fingers. So they both leave after the two of them go off in their separate ways and contemplate their lives. They come back and they're like, okay, like, let's actually give this a try. And so Willow joins the party with his friend. They join the party because Kit's brother's in danger. Like, we can't wait like a year. We got to go now. And so he's like, okay, cool, let's go. And so Willow starts teaching Elora some magic, and he gives her a spell to learn, which basically will grow a seed magically.
Repeat after me. Tuatha Ulthrockmora Hoatha.
Tuaka Throckmorda Huatha.
Close.
And so for the rest of the episode, she's just talking to the ground, trying to get this seed to grow. But there's no use. It's not growing.
Please.
She's desperate at this point to be the person that literally everyone in the whole realm has been waiting for. She isn't just some humble baker. She is going to be the savior of everyone. Like, she knows that she needs to be Elora Danan, and until she can make this tree grow, she doesn't feel like she can be Elora Danan. So a side plot here is that Sorsha goes and sends the commander Valentine with a group of people to go sit off and find Dove to bring her back.
Are you sure you're all right to ride? That wound on your shoulders.
It's just a scratch.
It was not all right. Sorsha knows that Dove is Elora because, Elora is given to Sorsha and Mad Mardigan to protect her. Valentine, he is with his own search party. They find them, and to leave the episode on a cliffhanger, he and his party kidnap Elora. As she's being whisked away, we see in the final scenes the tree is growing, and so that's pretty cool. Granted, she doesn't know it until a lot later into the series. So for Kit and Borman, their plot lines are pretty linked together in the sense of the Khmer and Kiras, which basically that was the artifact that Mad Mordigan had been sent on to go find, and that was the artifact that was rumored to be able to really help the kingdom fight against the crone. Borman tells Kit how he was actually a squire to Madmortigan and went on the adventure with him, only for Borman to come back and not Madmortigan. Throughout most of the season, Kit is just pelting Borman with questions about, like, hey, like, what was my dad like? Where is he? What was he doing? And he's, Borman slowly is telling her about the Cuirass. In this episode, we can also see a little bit of like a bond forming when it comes to Graydon and Allura.
Hi.
Like I mentioned earlier, he is pretty good when it comes to languages and arcana. And so he's like, hey, Allura, I can maybe help you with the spell that you're struggling with. Try to give you words of encouragement. Maybe I can help you somewhere. And it was just a nice moment, I think, between them.
Do you remember at the beginning of this episode, I mentioned Willow having visions? It's revealed at the very end of the episode that his visions aren't of Allura defeating the crone or, even fighting the crone. He wakes up on a battlefield. There's just dead bodies all around him. And he is crawling up to Allura's body and reveals that
for our world to survive, Laura Dannon has to die.
So next is episode 3, which is called The Battle of the Slaughtered Lamb. It opens up with more of the lore and how the Cuirass was created. Just talking about how, like, some kingdom was under siege and somebody's mother crafted the Cuirass for, I think, her son. And there's a key that goes into, like, right here on the Cuirass and will activate for those who are worthy of it. I don't know where it goes. In my head, I kept thinking it would, like, go, like, into your heart. And I don't know. But the wearer seems okay when they use it, which is interesting. It opens up with Allura being taken away by Valentine and his squad. But the thing is she escapes pretty easily, which is kind of funny. And so she runs into the woods to escape for them. And there, she meets two, like, cozy looking, just, I don't know if they're farmers or something, or they look adorable. I wish they never introduced them to us, though, because they get killed trying to help Allura, which pisses me off. Oh, the gay farmers. I'm reading it. It's like, damn it, the gay farmers.
There are men coming for me.
Oh, we do not doubt that. You do have a pleasing aspect and fine complexion.
No, wicked men.
I don't know if you can see this. Gay farmers? Yeah, gay farmers. And then gay farmers die. So I was a little annoyed with that. Because I was like, oh, they seem like such like a nice bunch. And then they're just killed off. I honestly, when I first watched this, I thought they were going to be groupies of the party. I thought they were going to be added on. They were just going to be a fun little bunch to kind of cook and help around and swing axes at people. That's what I thought. But then they just die. And I was like, that really sucks.
Come on, give her a mushroom. No, not that one. That's my one. Put it back.
But one thing that is interesting about this scene is how Allura realizes the significance of her being Allura Dannon. These people didn't know her, but once they found out that she had the mark and she was Allura Dannon, they're like, all right, girl, like, we're gonna be with you. Like, we're teaming up. Like, we got you. And they just get killed because of that. And she realizes, like, if she never had gone, seek their help, they never would have died.
You're responsible. Your arrogance and defiance got them killed. Countless more will die. But you can still save them. All you have to do is submit.
Oh, there's also, like, a giant storm coming, and it starts raining, and so it cuts back to the party, and the party, they split up with Kit and Borman going to go find the activation key to the cuirass. So Kit has always been pretty cocky in terms of her sword fighting, because she had always won her fights against Jade when they would practice. It's revealed that Jade was actually letting Kit win because her mother, Sorsha, actually told Jade, like, hey, can you just train her a little bit? And so Kit's like, hey, was everything like a lie between us? Like, were we never like truly friends? Was this all just not real? And Jade's like, no, like that's, we were friends. Only the letting you win part was fake, and that's kind of funny. But Kate feels very betrayed now by Jade, and so that leads her to wanting to go off with Borman just to get away from her and just have some time alone. It also helps too that, Borman has information about Kit's dad, so. And then everyone else using the wagon and just traveling wherever. The thing is, though, when it comes to the storm and it's raining, it gets caught in the mud, and so they're just stuck there, basically. Jade and Graydon, they talk to each other, and they're just like, hey, do you also think Willow is not who he says he is? Yeah, I don't think he's that powerful of a wizard if we're just stuck in the mud, literally. Can't he just use his magic to get it out of the mud? You're right. I don't think it's really weird, right? Yes. That is it. As someone who hadn't watched the movie, I also was like, okay, where's the magic, dude? Like, at this point, literally 2.5/8 of the show have gone by, and there literally has barely been any magic, but that changes pretty soon. And so, yeah, there's a storm. Their wheel gets caught, and Borman and Kit are going to find the key. They eventually do find the key, and the wagon group eventually get out of the mud. They all rejoin each other back to where Valentine? They all rejoin each other, and they find Allura and Valentine's squad, and they initiate combat. I should also mention at this point, when you look at Valentine, you can definitely tell this wound that he has only infected him so bad he just looks like a corpse walking, practically.
Look at yourselves. You're a mess.
And what happens here is we finally get a lick of magic that isn't just a tree growing. Not to say I didn't enjoy the tree growing, battle magic is pretty cool, man. And so, as the fight continues, it does not look good for Willow's party. And what Willow does is he actually uses magic. He slams his staff to the ground. There's a whole burst of energy that happens. He literally obliterates people.
Exodia! Obliterate!
The thing that sucks, though, is, well, two things. His buddy is killed, which sucks. But second, Graydon is revealed to have been affected by the same magic that affected Valentine. From the blast of Willow's spell, Valentine is not doing good. He basically has Jade kill him. Which, this is one of the things I will say that kind of doesn't make... I wish they did differently, I should say. I'm not going to say it doesn't make a lot of sense. I'll just say that it doesn't... I wish they did it different. Throughout all 3 episodes, it's not really made clear that Valentine is kind of like a father figure for Jade. They start talking about that afterwards, which is fine, but it really makes this scene not feel as heavy-hitting. I just wish they did it differently. I wish they just had them having more scenes together, maybe putting his hand on her shoulder, affectionately, in the sense of I practically adopted this kid, I care about this person, but they didn't really have that, really. And so it kind of felt lacking when Jade had to kill him. And I wouldn't really see this as a big deal, but this kind of affects Jade for the next few episodes, which obviously makes sense. This is her father figure. I mean, us as the viewer, we don't really feel the same way because we just haven't seen their bond on screen. Like, not really. In terms of things I wish that they had done differently, that's definitely one of them. But yeah, beyond that, the episode ends with them having to take shelter from the storm, with Graydon being very ill at this point. The one place Willow is suggesting is Nockmaar, which, as a viewer who hadn't watched the movie, I was kind of like, okay. Nockmaar is the evil queen's castle from the movie. Okay, so now we're on to episode 4, and don't mind the outfit change, time has passed. So episode 4 is called The Whispers of Nockmaar. Before the group really can settle down there, the one thing that Willow says not to do is to go anywhere near the high tower. That was where Elora, as a baby, was almost killed. So the group takes refuge in the abandoned castle, and they start to come up with ways to help Graydon out. His wound that he had, I guess it's explained to be like a more demonic, like black magic type spell, which makes sense because it's taking over your whole body. So they have to have like an exorcist basically to help him out. The whole episode is basically spent in this castle. So for Kit, it was trying to understand who her grandmother was, because her grandmother was the evil queen. And then Jade is trying to mourn Valentine's death and the weight of her having to kill him. And she will have, conversations with both Kit and Boorman about it, the two having different outcomes, where Jade basically tells Kit that she doesn't understand like what Jade is going through because she's never had to make any sacrifice just that big with killing someone who is that close to you. And for Boorman, he definitely understands what Jade's going through, and so they actually have like a nice like hug and a nice talk. It was kind of sweet. Boorman, weirdly enough, even though he's the most sarcastic comic relief type person in the whole party, there's multiple moments of him being seeked out for advice or just to talk to someone. Because of this conversation with Jade, though, Kit very much is constantly thinking about the idea where, okay, if Graydon has to go, she'll be the one to kill him. And almost everyone in the party is just like, okay, sure,
It's not gonna work. And if this ritual doesn't kill him, I'll have to.
Uh-huh.
What?
Boorman and Jade talk about how it's gonna be one of them. Because they don't want Kit to have to do it if she doesn't really need to do it. Willow and Elora are preparing to mix up some concoction to apply to Graydon's wound to help with preparing the exorcist that he's about to partake in. One thing of note for this castle is almost everyone sees random visions. The castle's really screwing with everyone's head, whether it be Jade seeing her dying mother. Boorman saw a giant locked door that he could hear whispers and laughter beyond it. He was so obsessive of trying to open the door. Kit saw visions about her grandmother. There was a tapestry showing her grandmother, and
looking at the tapestry, Kit could also see her own face, showing that maybe she sees herself in her grandmother. This storyline probably would have been expanded further in season 2, with Kit and Eric sharing the same dark bloodline as their grandmother. The phrase "blood of the six" is brought up in this scene, and it's good to remember that because it pretty much drives the grand storyline later into this season as well.
And then Elora saw visions of her birth. One thing to note here too, Boorman had supposedly lost the activation key to the Kiras, and so he was very paranoid. He demanded that Kit tell him where it is, thinking that if anyone had known where it would be Kit. She was the only person with him when he retrieved the key. The thing is, though, is she didn't even know he had the key. In the last episode, when they were off trying to find the key, he just didn't tell her he found it. Yet he lied about finding the key, saying that it just wasn't there at all.
Who is it?
Oh, wow. Okay, I surrender. Now let me in.
Tell us something only the real Boorman would know.
Okay, you two are turning to go boss for each other.
We don't. Yeah, oh.
As Graydon was tied down to this slab of metal or something, he, in his possessed state, tells to Alora that Willow is not being very truthful with you. He's not being honest. And so he hints at the visions that Willow has been having about Alora Dana needing to be strong enough to defeat the crone. She is being told now he's even having visions, not the fact that, she's destined to die, really. So Willow and Alora, they keep trying to perform the ritual on Graydon. It doesn't really work. Granted, the way how it's revealed is having a normal Graydon finding Alora and saying, like, hey, the spell did work, but something happened to Willow. We had to go find him. And so the normal Graydon basically tricks Alora to go up into the high tower. And so it's finally revealed that Graydon was possessed this whole time. This possessed Graydon is locked in the high tower with Alora, who she's kind of, in a way, defenseless because she doesn't really know magic too well at this point still. But the whole team finds them, goes up there, and as they're all in the high tower, the group was able to subdue Graydon for a little bit, but he was still possessed. And Alora, at that point, was the only one who could really do the spell. She didn't think that she could do the magic, especially seeing how she couldn't even make a tree grow. And this is pretty much the first moment where Kit's like, hey, you actually didn't do the magic. I believe in you. Like, you can do this. And with that confession, Alora has come to find some confidence in her magic abilities. And so she's able to successfully perform the spell to help save Graydon. She actually saw a flashback of his memories. He had mentioned, kind of hinted over the past few episodes, how he had like a dark history. He had an older brother where they were sitting up in a tree, and I guess Graydon, who was possessed at the time, pushed his brother out of the tree, ending up killing him. I don't think he really trusted himself after that point, especially he mentioned how his father was very resentful towards him, even though it was him being possessed. Graydon doesn't know that Alora can see that vision, but Alora, you can definitely tell, is kind of shaken at that point, thinking, like, not really sure what to make of it. But far away, it's shown that the crone has sent out more enemies for the group to be hunted by. And then also, we're finally shown Eric, and he's in some abandoned city. The city that just goes on and on and on and on. And that's it for episode 4. Episode 5 is called Wildwood. There's stories of the Wildwood being this pretty dangerous place in terms of you being found by the Bone Reavers or some magic screwing with your head. Episode 5 opens up with the gang being chased by the enemies sent by the crone at the end of episode 4. After a while, they're like, okay, like we, sooner or later, we're just gonna be too tired where they're gonna catch us. And so they have the idea, oh hey, there's the Wildwoods. Let's go in there and we'll flee them. What's weird though is this is the second time of the series that they're able to escape into the woods and the monsters are just like, well, we can't go in there.
Must have been the wind.
It's like, no, like you guys are literally a very powerful being. How are you scared of just going into the woods? I know that they're dangerous technically and they're wild, hence Wildwood. Just like, we'll get them next time. So Alora and Willow finally sit down and talk about this magical wand that Willow's been carrying. He actually was given it back in the movie, and it was supposed to be Alora's wand when she's ready. Alora's like, hey, could I use it? I helped save Graydon, and I also grew the tree. It'd be kind of cool now if I could use the wand. And he says no. And then Borman and Graydon have a conversation about Graydon liking Alora. And at this point in the series, it's pretty obvious what kind of dynamics they're trying to set up. I know I haven't really mentioned them much, but Kit and Jade are shown to be super into each other, whether it be Borman making jokes about them, or it just be them kind of having unresolved tension between their relationship. And also, of course, Graydon and Alora, either it be Graydon helping Alora with her magic studies, or Alora saving Graydon. The two definitely were set up to be a pair. However, when it comes to them, there's the talk about how Alora is still interested in Eric. And so Graydon feels as though he's very sidelined and friend-zoned. So that's the reason of him talking to Borman How do I get a girl to like me back? And Borman, he's starting to offer some advice, but he notices some skulls on the ground. And it's revealed that they are literally about to be captured by the Bone Reavers. I should mention too, the Bone Reavers were the people who supposedly had killed Jade's parents. So Jade does not like these people. And as they're captured, everyone is pretty much like, okay, we're gonna die. We're gonna be put into like a pot of boiling water probably and just skewed over a fire. And Jade, obviously with her hatred against these people, she's like very resistant of them. So the group is put into cells.
Lock the Nelwyn and the pretty fella down in the burrow.
Okay.
Toss these two in the rattler.
Wait.
But keep this one here.
Wait, what are you gonna do to her?
She'll make good sport.
Kit and Allura are in a cell, and Graydon and Willow are in a cell. After a fight with Scorpia, it's revealed that Scorpia and Jade are actually sisters. They have like the same mark on the back of their neck. Scorpia reveals to Jade how Lane basically skewed the storyline of, here's Jade and her family. Here are the Lane people. We killed you guys, but we're going to take the youngins and train them to be, soldiers of ours, or whether it be just workers of ours. So they do not like the Bone Reavers, but they revealed a lot of propaganda to Jade saying, hey, these people are bad. They're not good people, even though Jade was these people. So it's also revealed too that Scorpia and Warman were a thing. That was until he was captured, brought to Skellin, which we'll see soon, and he never made his way back to her. And it's revealed that Allura stole the wand from Willow. It's like one of the most powerful wands, so okay, here we go. She's like, okay, here we go. I forget what she says, but basically,
Avocado?
Are you just making that up?
Maybe not. Avocado.
Her saying the spell makes an explosion happen, and everyone can hear it. So they're able to escape, and Willow and Graydon hear this, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, what was that? And so they finally are able to escape, and they're like, okay. They're walking up to like a mass of people. What's happening? Oh, I don't think they're not even like looking out for us, I think we're fine. And then it's finally revealed that, hey, the Bone Weavers are chill because Jade is sisters with Scorpia. And because Jade is finally back home, the Bone Weavers celebrate. They throw a giant party.
Allura, I feel like you're still too human. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy, Tots. You just have a very well-developed palate.
You can call me Laurie.
They have like these like little, they honestly look like jello shots, like truth serum shots. Like everyone just takes one thinking like, oh, hey, here we go. But it's actually this serum that's supposed to make you tell the truth. I feel like they underutilized it. I wish they revealed a little bit more to each character, whatever truth that they've been keeping from each other. But I also was kind of okay with them not doing as much with it because this episode was totally just good vibes. Oh, yeah, there's a few things that happen in this party montage. Kit participates in a drink-off where she's just, taking shots down against this, like, really burly man, and she wins, I think, which, wow, okay. Graydon gets his facial hair shade, which was not good. Ooh. I also... around this one right here, the ascension of Crimson and Clover. I can't tell you. Once this song came on, I was like, yes. I love that song, especially when it comes to playing over, character moments like Jade and Kit, or even Borman and Scorpia. I thought was very nice. Kit and Jade had a conversation about them kind of taking in, hey, like, you're a Bone Reaver. That's kind of Interesting. Jade asked, did you know? Because it was your mother who basically ordered this to happen.
I suspected.
And you didn't tell me.
Well, what was I supposed to say? That I have a funny feeling you might in fact be the very thing you vowed to destroy? At best, you would have thought I was crazy. And at worst, it would have broken your heart.
Well, you're certainly the expert on breaking my heart.
And that's when Jade gives her the cold shoulder. One of my favorite scenes from, I think, the entire series was a talk between Allura and Kit. Up until Graydon being possessed by this dark magic stuff, Kit was very resentful of Allura, and Allura's just like, girl, I'm just trying to understand what the hell I'm supposed to do. And it's almost like anything Allura does, Kit is disagreeable with, whether it be Allura trying to help find Eric, or just the fact that Allura is the Allura Danon. Allura just never could please Kit, really. Since the possession of Graydon and Kit helping Allura gain confidence with telling her about the tree that she magically grew, they actually are pretty chill with each other at this scene. Allura and Kit are talking, just kind of on the outskirts of the party.
I was cruel. I blew it with Jade. What?
Were you gonna ask for my advice?
No. No.
Okay.
Definitely not. Yes.
Talk to her. And apologize.
For what?
It doesn't matter. Just say the words. I'm sorry. Tell her that you understand. Tell her that you want to get better. And that you'll be there, waiting for her when she's ready for you to prove it.
Another thing I'd like to talk about, too, is how Graydon's talking to Willow about how Willow is a legend, really, when it comes to the stories told about his adventures with Madame Artigan and of course, beating the evil queen. And Willow just tells Graydon that Willow was just lucky, and he actually isn't that great of a sorcerer. I thought this conversation was pretty interesting because if I were Willow, I would have a lot of imposter syndrome when it comes to that level of being recognized. Knowing that you are literally just someone who got away with something very lucky, granted using your wit, so that was cool. I don't know, I feel like I would be more, I guess, awkward about people praising me for being this thing that I'm not. Again, it's not to say that he shouldn't be heralded for being a savior of the realm, because he did defeat the queen, but it's just kind of interesting, the idea where he's totally cool with just being like, oh yeah, I got lucky. So don't tell anyone I am that good at magic, like that good at magic. When I had originally first watched the scene, I was totally thinking that they were going to have him be a little more not as confident with his standing. So after that scene, we have a love confession between Kit and Jade. It's very cute. They just tell each other straight out how they feel. They just tell each other how they feel. What's great, too, is the episode brings back the Crimson Clover song. And again, I'm like ascending again. Because it's such a good touch, And right when they're about to kiss, there's an ambush. Kit is taken. And it's like, whoa! Like, Jade has to run back to the party. And it's like, what's going on? And it's revealed that it's trolls. And that's the end of episode 5. It feels like a lot of the episodes are left on cliffhangers, which I understand. Especially when it comes to having 8 episodes, you need to have, you need to have the interest of the next episode always present. So, episode 6 is Prisoners of Skellin. Skellin is like an underground maze, practically. It has a bunch of workers all around. There's like bubbling liquid. At the bottom of the underground cavern, basically, is a whole layer of the liquid, and there is a crust on top of it. You're actually able to walk across it, which is important information. So, the trolls have kidnapped both Kit and Willow. They're locked in a cage, and they're met with another prisoner who claims to be Madame Morgan.
As a quick side note, when this dude first opened his mouth, I instantly connected him to be Rand Ridley from Inside Job, which is such a great show, and I'm so mad it got canceled, and I'll probably make a video on that. I mean, he's also in Heathers too, but yeah.
again, anyone who hasn't watched the movie was maybe thinking, okay, maybe it is. But then Willow's just like, no, you're not Madmartigan. I know who he is. But Kit has her hopes up because at this point, Kit is very much really trying to seek out the mystery of where her father went. So it's revealed that the prisoner's name is not Madmartigan, but it's actually Allagash. He was with Madmartigan on their quest to find the cuirass. Same goes for Borman, so that connects there. Allagash also talks a little bit about how Borman was the one who betrayed the party and would at that point be the result of why Madmartigan has gone missing. So they're in the caves, and the rest of the party is trying to infiltrate their way to save them. So it's Scorpia, Borman, Jade, Alora, Graydon. So Scorpia's there because she can go save her own Bone Reavers, and obviously the rest of the gang can go save Kit and Willow. One thing to note here is Alora is pretty affected by the cavern. I actually thought she was going to have like an anxiety attack or something, because you could definitely tell like she was very overwhelmed with being there. But it's kind of just shown that she has, being in the caverns makes her sneeze, which is interesting in the sense where whenever she would sneeze, like an outburst of power and magic would happen. And so throughout like the whole episode, she's having to deal with like the overwhelming, this energy from the cavern. So pretty quickly, Willow and Kit are able to break out of their cages, their bindings. They also help break out Allagash because he is rumored to have known where Madmartigan is. And so Kit's like, we're going there. He says it's in this cavern system, so we're going to go find my dad. They're off going to go do that. And Borman, it was told in episode 5 that he actually escaped from Skellin, so he knew his way around. So the party let him guide them through this cave. Scorpia had gone off to go help her Bone Reavers. Graydon had actually been separated from the party. They all were disguised too, so it wasn't like he was captured or anything. He actually was ordered to go do something. So now the party's just left with Borman, Jade, and Alora, and they're now trying to traverse through the caverns to go find Kit and Willow. During this trek, though, they have to maneuver over like a cliff. When Jade tries to jump over a gap, the board snaps in half and she's falling. The thing is, though, is the wand, the super powerful wand, falls. And it is just at the bottom of the cavern now, at the crust of the liquid. And so she's like, Willow's gonna be really mad. Which, yeah, I would too. That's like the most powerful wand in existence, basically. And you just dropped it. So they're cool. They pick Jade back up. She's fine. And soon they find out that Borman, he does know where he's going, but he's not taking them to go save Kit and Willow. He's actually taking them to go find the cuirass, which is the same place that Allagash is leading Kit and Willow. So they all meet back up. Both Alora and Jade are pretty mad with Borman, saying that he is pretty much just a liar, just in it for himself.
This is your fault.
Untrue.
Doesn't care about the party, which I wouldn't say it's not true, really. I think his motive, he knows that if he were to have the cuirass, he would be able to help the party. However, the way how he's going about it makes it seem like he's very selfish. And of course, once him and Allagash see each other, they clash and start fighting, saying, you betrayed Madmartigan. No, you betrayed Madmartigan. And so everyone's kind of just like, what's happening here? You know, we don't really quite know, because both people don't seem exactly the most trustworthy. Allagash was able to lead the party to this secret room that supposedly Madmartigan was in. He opens the door, it's a hidden door, so they're kind of relatively safe for a while they're all in this hidden room. So the party is met with this stone statue thing. It's almost like a sphinx in a way, that asks them 2 riddles. The statue declares that if they can't answer their 2 riddles, then they will die in his tomb. The first question they actually get pretty quickly.
A gift or curse I may be, used by others more than thee.
Anybody?
It's a name. That's the answer. And then the second one, it takes them a while to ponder what it could be.
Come on, Team Allagash. We got this. Beggars have what wise men crave, but both shall take it to their grave.
But at the end of it, the answer is nothing.
I've got it! It's nothing. The answer is nothing.
So the vault finally opens. And let me just explain a little bit more about the room itself. It is a treasure room. It has a bunch of little trinkets and whatever the sort. At the far end of the treasure room is this portal looking thing. And they don't really explain too much about it, but basically if you want to go through to the portal, you have to leave all your material goods behind. Both Borman and Allagash rush to go get the cuirass. And it's there. And so they actually could wear it and activate it if they really could, because as I mentioned earlier, the cuirass will only activate if the wearer is worthy of it. And Kit also wanders into this little treasure room and she finds her dad's sword. And this really hints that he leave all possessions behind so he could go further into the room, or I don't know exactly where it would take you. They don't really mention it. And so Kit, she hears what supposedly is Madame Artigan's voice urging her to come help him through this portal. And she's willing to do it. She's like, I am ready to go. But she's stopped by Jade and Alora. They basically say like, no, we have to get out of here. And they pull her out and she is very mad with both of them, especially Alora. Because the riddle was solved and they were able to open up the door, that also means that the hidden door in the cavern was also open, meaning that the enemies could come in.
Hi there.
And that's what happens. There's a bunch of trolls trying to attack them. During this battle, Kit and Allagash are separated from the party. The party was able to escape through, I believe, like I shouldn't say a slide, but like a little like hole that like brought them down to wherever to get away from the trolls. So it's just Allagash and Kit now. And Allagash talked about how, like, hey, I'm gonna hold these people back, you go. But he mentioned the last of like what Madame Artigan would say. The idea where he knew that one of his children would protect what mattered most in the world. And she asked what? Like, what is it? And it's what she did not want to hear at all, which was Alora Dannon.
What matters most?
Elora Dannon! Now get out of here!
Kit now believes that her dad, Mad Mortigan, ultimately chose Alora over her and Eric. The episode beforehand, they actually had a pretty chill bond forming from their talk at the party, but now it's just completely back to square one, where Kit is, again, very resentful of Alora for taking away her father. So finally, Kit goes down the slide thing, I'm not quite sure exactly what, the little chute that brings them, basically there's a little chute that brings them down to the water. Like I said, has the crust on it so you can walk across it. At this point too, Alora, her like sneezing, her outburst or whatever, are bringing down the cavern. There is like the added stakes of like needing to get out because the cavern is falling apart. And it's funny too, where they had been brought down to by that little chute. It was actually where the wand was when Alora dropped it. So she actually was able to pick up the wand and everything was okay, which that was kind of funny. I mean, a little convenient, but hey, whatever. The thing is though, so now, as I mentioned, the cave is really starting to fall apart. As rocks would fall down onto the crust, it would break open like a little hole. The thing is though, is the crust would start to reform and just be a nice layer again. And so, because you need to know that, the group, besides Kit, is like, hey, we gotta go. And so like they start walking across to go see an exit. Kit stands there because at this point she's not really feeling a lot of fight or flight. She's kind of just standing there freezing. Alora, of all people, is the one who's like, hey, like, you know, Kit, we gotta go. Like, why are you standing there? And Kit just looks at her and just says, like, you're the one causing the cave to crash down. just make it stop. But you can't control your magic. No, you can't. So just like how you took away my dad, you can't stop the rocks from falling, huh? And Allura is like, I'm sorry, I can't. I don't really have control over these things. I'm sorry. The big cliffhanger for the end of this episode, a rock falls, not onto Kit, because I think she would have probably totally died. A rock falls right next to Kit and opens up the crust underneath her, and she falls into the liquid. She is stuck under the water now, and the crust is just forming above her, and now she is going to be drowning. The final scene is of Eric, and he is very thirsty at this point. And it's revealed that there is like a body, or not, I shouldn't say body of water, but there's like almost like a fountain, like, I shouldn't say container. There is a big thing of water. There's a big thing of water that's revealed to have been the liquid that Kit is now underneath, drowning in, literally. But it's shown after he sips some water, he hears the voice of a woman call out. She's in a cell, and he walks over to her. She's like, hey, are you the one who trapped me here? He's like, no, I am also trapped here. I don't know what to do. And so it ends with her asking to be released. So now we have like a mystery woman. We don't really know who she is. And that's the end of episode 6. So now we're on to episode 7, and that is called Beyond the Shattered Sea. So this episode opens up in the city with Eric and that new girl. She talks about being from a place that offers all of their citizens everything they could ever want, so why would they ever want more? This girl is very much anti-authority, anti-responsibility. You know, she wants to rely more on her impulses and not have to have rules. Once Eric tells her that he is a prince, she's like, oh, you're just going to want me to do your bidding, be your girl.
I also want to take a moment and just describe a little bit of the area where Eric is. So obviously, like I mentioned, the pool of water. The pool of water is right outside like this big building and like a big giant door. Every now and then when it would cut back to Eric and the city, it would just sometimes be open, sometimes closed. That area is important later. When the girl arrives there, she actually is very curious about the door, and Eric says, don't go in there. It just does not give off good vibes. It seems kind of evil. Eric, in this little pool of water that he's been drinking from, as I said earlier, it's the same liquid that Kit has been drowning in. He actually sees her in the pool of water, and he goes and tries to reach for her, and you can hear muffled out spells that Allura and Willow are trying to cast to get her above water and not drowned. As Kit and Eric are about to finally touch hands, the spell has shot a hole into the crust and has shot Kit back up into the air and out of the water. And so now they finally are able to escape the cavern and head back up to the surface. One thing to also note here, throughout episode 6 and episode 7, you can see that Allura's hair is getting more and more ginger. In episode 6, you could see a little strand of it. Honestly, I thought it was just the environment, just maybe casting the light in the shadows, just a weird color. I really didn't notice until they were actually on the surface. But now, with that burst of magic to get Kit out of the water, it's now fully ginger hair.
Last time I saw you, your hair was red.
Prue rubs lemon juice and beetle blood in it to change the color.
That's disgusting.
So now, as they're on the surface, they approach the Shattered Sea. And the Shattered Sea isn't really a body of water. It's more of just a lot of sand with maybe, a few inches of water. So it's not like you can really drown in it. Granted, I guess you could always drown in an inch of water. I guess, technically. The whole mystery when it comes to the Shattered Sea is that it is said to stretch forever until the edge of the world, where it would just become like a waterfall, basically. Just, I think about those flat earth diagrams that just have it to where it just falls off, which makes no sense. But because it is such a vast sea, it had stories of people going mad, going crazy, not having enough food, or getting sick. The type of stories you'd hear from any sort of pirate adventure. They get mad at sea.
Let's get this scurvy started.
And so they're all standing there, and Kit is like, okay, here we go. We have to cross the sea to get to the city. And so she starts walking, then instantly falls. And they're like, yeah, we can't. We're not fit to travel across this endless sea. And they conveniently see a shack right by the water. They kind of just let themselves in. It's actually not just an abandoned shed. It's actually an old guy's house. But he lets them stay there for the night just to recoup. And they see that there is a sled with this, I believe it was called a mudmander. It kind of like lives in the mud, in the sand or whatever, and it travel through the mud and be the thing that pulls the shed through the shattered sea. He feeds them, even though the thing looks really disgusting. I'm pretty sure no one really wants to eat food, except Borman. It just looked like really crappy food. The creatures who had been chasing the gang, they had finally found them again, and they now were chasing them out of the shed. So the gang is like, hey, we're taking this shed, you know? Or not the shed, we're taking the sled with the mud manger on it and start sailing into the Shattered Sea. There's a fight that happens, everyone casting spells, even Graydon, who he actually had picked up some of the magic that Willow had been teaching Elora, and so now he actually is able to cast some spells from his flute. Oh, Kit has a star thrown at her under her arm right here. And after the fight is over, we get this funny scene.
Every time they yank one out, they use the same foolproof method to numb the pain.
As everything settles down, they kind of just sail on for the rest of the day. So they decide to camp on a little sandy island. Everyone camps, and then we start having a training montage. We can barely just get by defeating the Crone's henchmen. There's no way we're ever going to be able to defeat the Crone. So they all decide, let's just have a training montage and get better. Whether it be Elora and Willow and Graydon training to upgrade their wizardry, or it be Kate and Jade training to get better at sword fighting. Honestly, this training montage was probably one of my favorite sequences in the whole show. I kind of wish that we got more scenes like this montage, but I also wish that we didn't have all of these nice moments just kind of shoved into a montage, if that makes sense. I kind of wish that we could just stay in the moment a little bit, but it's just a montage. So there's also a moment, too, where Kit and Jade finally talk about what happened with their whole love confession that turned into an ambush from the trolls. And they finally have a nice kiss, and it's very cute, and good for them. And then the next scene, we have Elora and Willow fighting, in the sense where Willow can tell that Elora is holding something back, and he purposely tries to egg her on to just let it go and accept her emotions. And it's at this point where she Beyblade lets it rip, and he is knocked off his feet. Everyone turns and they're all like, what's happened? Willow questions Elora and asks, how did you even know that spell? That's a very deadly spell. And she reveals that she had learned it from Nockmaar, and so he's concerned with that. And then we also have another scene where it's nighttime and they're camping out. Elora is standing out in a very pretty starlit sky, and Kit approaches her. So the two hash it out in the sense where Elora tells Kit that she doesn't think Madame Mardigan would ever truly choose Elora over Kit. Madame Mardigan loved her regardless of his service to the kingdom, which would be serving and protecting Elora. But overall, after this conversation, they have an understanding with each other. It's a very nice duo in that sense. And then it goes back to Eric with the girl.
What do you want?
To be free, to follow my impulses, say what I really think.
It's slowly shown that she forces herself on him, and he is like, no, I'm with Dove, we're in love.
I can't.
Right. That was dumb.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be. I really do love...
Dove.
Yes.
Then she slowly reveals to him that she is the crone. During this reveal of her being the crone, she also slightly reveals, like just sprinkles in a little bit of context when it comes to the Wyrm. And that's one of those things that they don't really touch upon that much when it comes to this season. So the Wyrm kind of just remains like a very mysterious figure. Like we don't really know exactly how powerful it is, what exactly are its goals besides just destroying the land. But she kind of sprinkles in a little bit of that aspect where she needs the blood of Bavmorda, which in this case would be Eric or Kit. And so she is trying to convince him to join her, to become like her in the sense that she doesn't need responsibilities. She can just rely on her impulses. She can do whatever the heck she wants. So it cuts back now to the party, and they reveal that their supplies are low. They've been going for who knows how long because time really just becomes weird when it comes to the Shattered Sea. Team morale is pretty low at this point. It's in this time of desperation where Borman tries to activate the cuirass, but it is pretty anticlimactic because it doesn't really work for him. And that sucks for him because he really has thought this whole time that he would be able to be the one to help everyone and to be the one who's worthy of the cuirass. Willow is having visions of his daughter back in the village saying, "Please come home. You left us. What are you doing?" So he's kind of going mad a little bit in the sense where he wants to go home now. The Mudmander that has been pulling their sled the whole time is noticeably getting more and more ill. Graydon had actually bonded very well with it, was taking care of it the most throughout all of the team. He actually decided to release the Mudmanger and just set it free so it can not just be sick and probably die on this adventure. And now they really don't have any transportation at all. So they're like, okay, dang, we have to actually walk the rest of the way. Like, who knows how long that will be. Then it comes back to Eric and the girl, and he still does not trust the girl at all. But he is very, very thirsty at this point. The pool of water was closed. The only place that he could drink from was beyond the door that seemed really mysterious and just not good. And he's crawling to her in desperation, like, "I'll do it, like, I'll join you, like, I just need some water." And so she gives him the liquid or whatever, and he is on their side now. Then it goes back to the group. They've been walking and they finally reach the edge. The whole group now is I said everyone is piecing out. No, yeah, so they walk to the edge and they're like, well, there's nothing here for us now. It was said that once they cross the Shattered Sea and reach the edge, they would find the city that Eric is captive in. But they don't see this. They just see a foggy waterfall that they probably would die if they jumped down there. All is lost. At this point, we just gotta give up and go home. Willow was feeling that way. Borman was kind of feeling that way. Even Alora wants to go home. She finally reveals to the whole party that she thinks that the visions that Willow's been having were of her dying, facing the crone and the Wyrm.
How did you know?
She showed me.
So even she is doubtful and also wants to go home. But the person who pulls her back from that is actually Kit. Kit convinces her to stay, not give up. You know what we have to do. And Alora's like, yeah, you're right, I do know what we have to do. And so they both jump off the edge of the world. The episode doesn't end there, though. They actually reach the bottom, they get out of the water.
The city is on the horizon.
There's a little bit of a time jump in the sense where they finally reach the city, and it's revealed that Eric has been changed. He turns around, his hair's cut, which kills me a little bit on the inside. I mean, I still like the haircut, but still. And they are both shocked to see that he has basically joined the dark side. And that's the end of episode 7. But now we're on to the final episode of the show, which is episode 8, called Children of the Wyrm. So this episode starts right off where the last episode ended, with a confrontation between Eric, Alora, and Kit. Eric is talking pretty much like brainwashed in the sense that the crone and the worm, they're the good guys. It's actually good that we're gonna let them rule. Elora and Kit, it's very cool to see their character dynamics change throughout this whole season, because at this point they're pretty much cool buds and they're a really good duo when it comes to interacting with Eric. It's very fun to watch. I really wish we got more of that.
She needs Bavmorda's blood to raise to something and enslave the world.
Harbinger.
The Harbinger.
You're doing really good.
Thanks.
So as they're talking with Eric, it cuts back to the rest of the party that is just chilling up on the edge of the Shattered Sea. And one by one, they pretty much are all convinced, let's jump. Willow stays behind though. He's like, hey, I have to go make sure my village is okay. You guys, you got this. And so Graydon, Jade, and Borman, they all jump and they resurface. And they too also see the city on the horizon. However, they also see this stormy dust storm approaching. It looks very threatening. Kit and Elora finally meet the crone. The crone actually somehow convinces them to go into this giant streak of light where they're transported to what the crone says the worm could give them. She's trying to convince them to join the crone and the worm's side. So for Elora, she sees Eric try to convince her to give up the Elora Danon responsibility. She can still have all the power she wants, whatever, but she doesn't need to have the weight of being Elora Danon. He says that if she were to marry him and just let the crone and the worm do their thing, she could be happy. She could be just do whatever the hell she wants. And Elora looks intrigued. Kit sees her mom, and her mom talks to her about how she's sorry that she ever tried to make Kit something that she's not, which is more weighed in on her princess responsibilities. She basically says, like, if you join the crone and the worm, you are free to go do whatever you want. Go on adventures with Jade. You're free to not be a princess, really, which is what she's wanted. At first, Kit actually is pretty interested in the proposition. However, she hears the voice of her father.
Kit. Can you hear me?
Saying, Kit, I need your help. Go save Elora. And so she runs away. She tries to find where Elora is, and it's met with the crone saying, you're too late. Elora's taking our offer. She's going to get married to your brother. So now we're back to Graydon, Jade, and Borman, who are outside. The door is shut, so they can't get in, and the dust storm is very rapidly approaching them. And as it approaches, they're being slowly turned to stone. So the next scene now is Elora walking down the aisle for their wedding. She makes it all the way up to Eric. They're about to kiss, and then she stops and says, no, I'm not going to do this.
I don't think I'm into you anymore.
Elora hears the voice of Willow now. He is telepathically talking to her, and he is able to get Elora to snap out of it, and so both Elora and Kit are kind of thrown out of the stream of light that they entered. Willow's spell also makes it to where the rest of the game is actually turned from stone back to normal. It's at this point, too, the crone finally reveals its true form. Fights break out. Melee fighters go against the melee fighters. The spellcasters go against the spellcasters. So that means the crone and Elora are dueling it out. Elora is disarmed at one point, and Graydon's kind of just standing there, and he picks up the wand and starts blasting the crone with spells. And that would be a really cool scene if it did anything. She kind of just said one spell and just obliterated him. So it's kind of funny to watch that, but at the same time it's like, oh, girl. So yeah, that's one character death. And then after she does this, she takes the wand that was, again, the most powerful wand, and she just snaps it in half and tosses it into the liquid. All feels kind of lost when it comes to Elora. But she is, again, she's Elora Danon, so after what would be a loss of confidence, she comes back and she's able to actually cast magic from her hands. And so they continue fighting. I think it's actually a really cool fight scene. I think how they did the special effects on the spells and the magic was just very cool. These scenes are also when I think the art direction just pops off, because I love different colors. Granted, it's really just green and red, but still. during one of the brief moments where it's pretty chill in the fight, Borman gives Kit the cuirass and says, "You're the worthy one, like, you can do it." And she doesn't activate it yet, but she's going to, don't worry. I love my notes, by the way. I think they're so funny. So I can just... This top part of the page is so funny, where it's... What is it? Willow talks to Elora telepathically. Elora literally tackles the crone. Girl is... At this point, you can stop and read it if you really want to read it. It's not good handwriting. Girl is kind of getting into it, spamming the spell button. Oh my god, she fucking did. So, Elora deals what would be the final blow to the crone. The crone is on the ground, and Eric rushes to her, and she mentions how this was always supposed to be the plan. I was pretty much supposed to die, and what she does is she transfers, I believe, like, her power to Eric, and so he starts looking all gross. The crone, disappears, just goes off in dust or something. So with him gaining the powers of the crone and becoming all gross but also powerful, Jade is like, okay, yeah, we got to turn on the cuirass right now. And so she finally does. She kind of goes through. It reminds me of like an anime like transformation sequence. The cuirass looks really cool too. And actually pretty quickly Kit is able to best Eric. But the thing is though, she's not quite sure if she can return him back to his normal self. So Willow is there, and he smashes his staff to get the crystal that was at the end of the staff. He hands the crystal to Kit and tells her to have Eric hold it and just to talk to him, and if he can see the light, then he'll make it out of this. You know, he'll transform back, which, I don't know, that also seems kind of just very convenient, honestly. But... you know, we like happy endings except for Graydon. And it's actually a sweet little moment there because we have flashbacks of the two twins growing up. And I wish we saw more of this, which I assume we would have saw more of it in season 2 if we got a season 2. But we just are left with these cute little moments of them in their childhood. And so Eric wakes up normal. He's fine. The crone is dead. Eric is not possessed anymore. Granted, I bet the power that was transferred to him by the crone is probably still dormant inside of him. But again, we're not going to see that because we don't have a season 2. And it has a shot of them literally about to walk into the sunset. We're pretty much at the end of the show. And everyone is happy. They're like relieved. At the same time, they're like, Graydon's dead. That really sucks. But, you know, for some reason, they're like, let's just leave the Wyrm. He's just chilling in like that beam of light. But let's just leave him alone. Like, he'll come find us. And that makes no sense, I think. I forget how they did it in the actual scene, but I don't understand why they didn't at least talk about it a little more. Like, even just like a little like wet floor sign they can put right there and just say like, hey, don't go in there. I don't know, something like that. They just leave it though. They're like, the almighty, powerful Wyrm will come towards us. Like, we don't have to worry. I understand that they are all worn out from battle and also just in general their trip to this city, but still, it's kind of interesting. Each character is kind of just left with their last remarks.
What? I'm gonna take it off. When? As soon as I figure out how.
But overall, everyone is just excited to start heading home, which I don't know how they're going to be honest with you, because they literally jumped down a cliff. The last thing that Willow really mentions is this story about how Madmartigan rolled down a snowy mountain to where he was a giant ball of snow.
Did I ever tell you about the time Madmartigan rolled himself into a giant snowball?
And I didn't really catch that when I first watched the show. I thought it was just like another like nice quirky anecdote about Madmartigan. And that literally was a scene that happened, and it was just so weird to watch. It was very funny, don't get me wrong, but it was just very bizarre. But yeah, it's funny to think that this show literally ends on a freeze frame of the whole gang walking into the sunset. It's a little cliche, but I think it's just funny. Honestly, I didn't mind it. I had a good time. Something I actually forgot to mention was the closing scene after the freeze frame. Basically, it's Graydon waking up in a pile of dead bodies, and this is to show that he's actually not dead, but is alive in that beam of light I was talking about. And as he looks up to the top of the hill of dead bodies is Allura, but it's kind of like an evil Allura, assuming the Wyrm is using the appearance of Allura to get Graydon to trust the Wyrm, kind of like how they did with Eric with the crone. Anyways, that's it. So that was Willow. And after what was a lengthy telling of the story, I would just like to talk about a little bit of how I thought of it. Overall, I had a lot of fun watching this. It was pretty simple, pretty fun. It just all in all was a fun watch. A few minutes of skimming through some of the comments on IMDb. People really didn't like the writing that much. They thought it was either not serious enough or it was not like the movie. They thought it was more of like honestly kind of like Legacies, in the sense where it's more of like a teen show about magic, which again, I'm here for it, so. But I understand where some people are saying, as someone who watched the movie as a kid back in 1988, having watched that and then growing up and then 35-year gap, obviously someone who's 10 years old from 1988 watching this in 2023 who would be 45 or something, obviously that sort of demographic is not going to be, you're not in the same demographic as it used to be, which makes sense. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's it. So I hope you liked Willow, and I hope you liked this video. Granted, it's very long, I bet. Anyways, I'll see ya. Hope you liked it. Bye. He hands it to Kit and has her hold on. He hands the crystal to Crit.